And Janya, I guess, hopefully I'm saying that right. Everyone says write a dispute letter denying your debt in the first 30 days, but with millions of people owing debt, doesn't that just put you at the top of the collector's list for a time? Okay, it's a great question. So this dispute letter in the first 30 days, that's typically called a validation letter or verification letter. And this is under section 1692G of the FDCPA. And this says that you can let the collector know you dispute it and that you're requesting that they give you some proof. And generally, that's a good idea to do that. Okay, now you can just ask for sort of general proof and say, so the letter that I typically suggest says something like, I deny owing any debt to your company. If you think I owe you any debt, send me proof. Okay. And that's kind of general. Okay. Now, if we have specific things like maybe this is a medical debt and Blue Cross has paid this, or your health insurance company has paid it, or maybe your doctor did not submit it to insurance even though you gave them your insurance card. Well, then you could be very specific about that and say, hey, I deny owing any debt to you. And by the way, I think you're collecting on a medical debt. Go talk to Dr. Smith's office because they messed up. They didn't turn this in under Blue Cross or Humana or Medicare or Medicaid or whatever it is. And so you can be very specific. In terms of putting you at the top of the list, the letter that they send out, that the collector sends out, first of all, they have to do that, but they also want to get in front of you. And then whether you respond or not, they're going to be coming after you. Okay. So it may be calls. It may put you on what's called a robo dialer, where it's just, they're calling every couple of days. They may then put it on your credit report. They may ultimately sue you. So it's a great question. I mean, if it's a large amount of money, depending on how close you are to statute of limitation, and I had a recent video on this, do we just kind of lay low, or do we raise our head up and, really sort of make a ruckus about it? And that does depend on how close you are to a statute of limitation. Will this company sue? So I would get with a lawyer in your state, consumer lawyer in your state, that can tell you, for this particular collector, do they sue? Do they credit report? And also check your credit reports at annualcreditreport.com. And you can check those for free once a week now through April of 21. And check Equifax, Experian, TransUnion, see if this is on your report. So you do have to use some judgment, whether you want to sort of get on their radar. But if they're sending you a letter or they're credit reporting, you're already kind of on their radar. So my general rule would be to dispute it, but you do have to look at each case and make sure that makes sense. So very good question. And let's see, we have follow-up here. Just when Lexus Nexus opted out, security freeze my account. When SageStream, can you tell me if you recommend freezes on these two accounts? Okay, so let's talk about what these are. So Lexus Nexus, it gets a little confusing because Lexus Nexus kind of wears two hats, okay? One hat, they're a furnisher of information. They furnish information to the big credit bureaus, but then they are also a credit bureau, and they are not so much like your Capital One account, your Discover card, your Bank of America mortgage loan. They are more public records. What property do you own? Have you made insurance claims? Things of that nature. And so there is one strategy where you sort of put a freeze on Lexus Nexus, and these are the guys that do sort of the public record investigation. So we used to have tax liens on our credit reports and judgments and bankruptcies. With the big three, talking about Equifax, Experian, TransUnion, we really don't have tax liens or judgments anymore. But that information is still out there. And bankruptcies are definitely reported. So kind of the theory is you freeze your Lexus Nexus, and then you dispute with Equifax, Experian, TransUnion on your bankruptcy. And they typically just go to Lexus Nexus to get the information about the bankruptcy. And so the idea is if you have frozen Lexus Nexus, that will stop the credit bureaus from being able to verify it. And look, I think to some extent that works. Here's my concern. And understand my perspective is I'm not a credit repair place. People don't pay me money to get things off their credit report. I sue the credit bureaus. I sue companies that do false credit reporting. And if let's say I had a bankruptcy 2 years ago, and it was in the Northern District of Alabama, and it had this certain case number, and all that's reporting correctly on my credit report, and I disputed, and I went and froze Lexus Nexus and all that type of stuff, and it still stayed on there. And then the other part of this is you write to the bankruptcy court and say, hey, are you providing this information? They'll write you back, say, we do not furnish information. We're just, our courts are open. People can go get the records. If that does not get fixed, you can't sue on that, in my opinion, because the first thing the judge is going to ask is, well, did you file bankruptcy? And the judge is not interested. I mean, she's going to be like, stop talking if what you're saying is, well, but judge, they didn't properly verify. Judge is going to say, did you file bankruptcy? Is the case number right? Is the filing date right? Is the district right? In other words, is all the information correct? So, and I'm not sure that that's the approach you were taking with this as far as a bankruptcy, but that's kind of the typical thing. Sage Stream is very similar. Sage Stream also is a credit reporting agency. So look, I would definitely request reports from those two places. If you want to freeze them, you can. I think it probably doesn't do as much good as at least some people think that it will do. And just remember, if you are suing over false credit reporting, it has to be false. I mean, there has to be something wrong about it, or the judges are not going to be interested, at least in my experience. So I appreciate that question. 16A2G, I think maybe you mean 1692G. That's the FDCPA letter for free. One guy on YouTube channel selling for $10. Yeah, I mean, you don't need to buy these letters, okay? If you just go to my channel and search dispute letter, you'll see, I think maybe it's called like simple dispute letter. And you can also reach out to me and I'll send you one. And actually I have and it's free. There's no charge for it. I mean, it's a place you can go to, and it asks you questions, and you sort of fill out the information, and then it will create a Word document for you, and then have a little checklist that goes with it that says, make sure you mail this certified, make sure you keep signed copy, and that sort of stuff. So no, I would not pay for letters. And we see this with credit repair. People are like, I've got this secret letter. There are no secret letters, okay? And the more somebody says that they have the secret, the more that they say, you need to pay me $100 or $500 for this letter. In my opinion, it's a scam, okay? And now look, there are some lawyers that know what they're doing that are selling letters. I think it's kind of goofy, to be honest with you. But hey, it's a free country. They can do whatever they want. But I don't think you need to pay for any letters. Now, if you hire somebody to help you, you're paying for their services if they charge you. But I would not be buying any letters off the internet. I mean, I'll give you an example in different contexts. So people will come to me and say, hey, I spent $10,000 getting an audit of my mortgage. And they found all the errors, and they created this beautiful report. And this means I get my mortgage for free, right? I go, no, here's what it means. It means you just wasted $10,000 on complete garbage, okay? So I would just be very careful about sort of paying for letters. I think you're very smart to not want to pay for that. Look, I'd rather use the $10, use that for certified mail, okay? When you're sending stuff out, you can find great letters for free. And again, you can look on my website or my YouTube channel, and I think they're pretty good. And, spend your money on certified mail, not paying for letters.